Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the Arabic Fluency channel. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. If you can, please let me know in the chat so we can make sure everything is okay and we can get started, inshallah. If you could let me know where you're joining from, which country, we can all get to know each other bi'idhnillah. Ahlan bikum. Okay. Okay, the voice is loud and clear. Jazakallah khair. Ahlan wa sahlan. Alhamdulillah. Okay, guys, so this is going to be our very first live stream on the channel. And I'm delighted that you could join us for this session. And I'm really excited and looking forward to having an interactive session, inshallah. So whatever thoughts you might have, whatever comments you might have, please feel free to use the comment session as you like. So let me quickly tell you what our intention is with this live stream. We are going to make it weekly. It's going to be every Sunday at this time. And the purpose of the stream is to take a deep dive into the books of Arabic literature and poetry, bi'idhnillah. So we'll be starting with this wonderful book called the Diwan al Hamasa. We won't be reading the entire book, but we'll choose certain parts of it and go through them, inshallah, and try to really understand the poetry and the context behind them, bi'idhnillah. So before we get started, I want to talk briefly on the science of adab. What do we mean by adab or Arabic literature? Now, adab is a broad term which includes Arabic poetry as well as the Ayyamul Arab, the history of the Arabs and the stories and so on. But you might ask yourself, why should I be learning Arabic literature? Is it an important science to learn? And this is something a lot of people overlook. If you look at our scholars, our classical scholars especially, they paid a lot of attention to the science of adab. They used to learn adab before starting to learn other sciences, other Islamic sciences. And a prime example of this is Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, who, according to some reports, is said to have spent up to 20 years in the desert with the tribe of Hudayl to perfect his Arabic language. He's already an Arab, so he spent time with them in order to really master the Arabic language. He stayed with them and he learned their poetry, he learned their adab, and he interacted with them for such a long time to master the Arabic language, subhanallah. And it is said he did this for 20 years. And if you look at the writings of Imam Shafi'i, you can see this mastery of the Arabic language. This kind of understanding of the language, this is the greatest tool that will help you understand the Quran al-Karim, that will help you understand the books of hadith, the books of fiqh. It is important to have mastery of the Arabic language. Now, when we talk about understanding the Quran, most of us learn the Arabic language to understand the Quran first and foremost. And when we talk about understanding the Quran, we have to understand that there are different levels to understanding the Quran. You might come across a word that you don't know, and you can look it up in the dictionary, and you will get a translation. And like this, you can understand the Quran. But this is a superficial understanding. On the other hand, if you really understand the word from its natural usage, if you understand all the layers to the word, if you understand uh, the context in which the word can be used, if you really understand it from Arabic poetry, this is what will give you a deep insight into the Quran and the other texts of the Arabic language. Just checking the voice is still clear. Could someone comment on that? I think there is a slight delay between the broadcast and the. Uh, can you hear me? Can someone comment on that, please? Okay, alhamdulillah. Moving forward. So, this is really the importance of learning adab or Arabic literature. The purpose is to really master the Arabic language, to gain insight into the Arabic language, and this will make easy for you whatever path you take, path of knowledge you take, whatever science you choose. So, this is why we read Arabic poetry and Arabic literature. And let me just give you one more example uh, about Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu is one of the greatest sources of tafsir that we have. If you read Ibn Kathir, most of the tafsir, it comes through Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, or a lot of it comes through Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu used to rely heavily on Arabic poetry to make tafsir of the Quran. And he even said, إِذَا أَعْيَاكُمْ. Okay, I have it for you on the screen. إِذَا أَعْيَاكُمْ تَفْسِيرُ آيَةٍ مِّن كِتَابِ اللَّهِ فَاطْلُبُوهُ فِي الشِّعْرِ. If the explanation of an ayah from the Quran defeats you, meaning if it escapes you, then look for it in poetry. فَإِنَّهُ دِيوَانُ الْعَرَبِ. For verily it is the register of the Arabs. The Arabs, as we know, were ummiyun. They were an illiterate ummah. There are no books that were transmitted to us from before Islam. But what we have from the period of Jahiliyyah are the oral transmissions, the shi'r, the poetry, for example. And this is the purest form of the Arabic language, and the Quran was revealed in exactly this language. So, learning this poetry and referencing this poetry is what gives us the clear understanding of the language of the Quran. So, I just wanted to mention this because we're not here to waste our time. This is an especially beneficial knowledge to be learning. Now, let us get started with the Diwan al Hamasa. What is the Diwan al Hamasa? Diwan al Hamasa is a compilation of poems compiled by Abu Tammam, Habib ibn Aus al-Ta'i, and this is widely known as one of the best compilations of classical Arabic poetry. Abu Tammam, he chose the best poetry from Jahiliyyah and also the early Islamic period. And all of these lines, all of this poetry is of the highest quality. Hamasa translates to valor. So these are stories of bravery, stories of war and strength and heroism, and so on. And it contains poems of different subjects. It contains different headings. The first book is called Al Hamasa, and there are subsequent books or chapters in this book. Now, why did Abu Tammam compile this book? It's an interesting story and something we can relate to. Subhanallah, especially in this time of COVID-19 and in this time of quarantines and the isolation and the lockdown and all of those. because Abu Tammam was traveling and he got stuck because of heavy snowfall. He got stuck because of the snow and he could not go back home for months. And his host, the person he was with, he was happy to have Abu Tammam with him. And this man had a wonderful library. So, subhanallah, he opened his library uh, for Abu Tammam. And in this period, he compiled 5 books. He compiled 5 books, one of which was the Diwan al Hamasa. So we should all use our time very wisely, in these circumstances. So these are the books under, or these are the sections rather, under the Diwan al Hamasa. The first chapter is Al Hamasa, like we said, it deals with valor. Then we have Al Marathi, elegies, Al Adab, proper conduct, Al Nasib, love poems, Al Hija, invective or insulting through poetry or attacking poetry. Al Adyaf, Al Madih, hospitality and praise of the generous, As Sifat, descriptive poetry, As Sayar, as desert travel, uh, Al Mulah, clever curiosities, Madhamat an Nisa, the censure of women. The last, uh, the last bab or the section is completely dedicated towards criticizing women. He compiled poetry that criticizes women. I have no idea why he did this, and I'm not planning to read this section unless you insist. Uh, some people in the comments are saying they cannot see the video. Subhanallah. Uh, I don't know what to do about that. I think it is clear for most people. Khair, inshallah. Moving on. So the first poem I have for you is the poem of Qurayt ibn Unayf. SubhanAllah. Khair, inshallah. So moving on. Uh, so the poem of Qurayt ibn Unayf, I want to give a quick background or context to these lines of poetry. This man named Qurayt was from the tribe of Ambar, Banu Ambar. And he had 30 camels with him. And another tribe uh, called the tribe of Shayban, they took these 30 camels from him by force. And this man, he sought help from his tribe. But the Banu Ambar, his tribe, they are peace-loving people to the extent they don't want to get involved in any sort of trouble. So they did not help this man. So he called upon another tribe, and this was the tribe of Mazin, and they came to his aid. So Qurayt, he said these lines, making hijab, attacking his own tribe and praising the tribe of Mazin. So let us look at these lines. He says, لو كنت من مازن لم تستبح إبلي بنو اللقيتة من ذهل بن شيبان. Had I been from the tribe of Mazin, they would not have taken to my camels so freely. لم تستبح إبلي. Banu Laqita, the sons of Laqita from Dhuhl ibn Shayban. These are the people who took his camels. إذن لقام بنصري معشر خشن عند الحفيظة إن ذو لوثة لان. And if they did, I would have been helped by a group who are tough, khushan, who are tough or hard. عند الحفيظة. الحفيظة is شدة الغضب or rage. During the time of rage, they would have come to my aid. In ذُلُثَةٍ lana, even when the people, the weak people, are being meek. And he's talking about his own tribe, the tribe of Ambar. قوم إذا الشر أبدى ناجذيه لهم طاروا إليه زرافات ووحدانا. They are a people who, when evil shows them its teeth, the najidhain are the molars, or to be specific, they are the wisdom teeth, the wisdom teeth. And this is an expression when the shar, the evil, shows them its teeth, meaning when the evil comes face to face with them. And this word can be found in the Sunnah, in the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he talked about holding on to his Sunnah and the Sunnah of the Khulafa Rashideen. He said, "Gaddu alayhi bin nawajis." Hold on to it with your molars or with your wisdom teeth, meaning hold on to it strongly. So here he says there are people who, when evil shows them its teeth, taru ilayhi, they hasten towards this evil. Zarafatin, in groups, wa wihdana, and also alone. What does this mean? These people, they are so brave. He's talking about the tribe who came to his aid. These people are so brave that they don't care if they are in a group or alone. Some people, they are brave only when they are in a group, but when they are alone, they become very peace-loving. But these people, they are so brave, they don't even care if they are within the group. It is as though each of them is attacking all by himself. Subhanallah. This is the bravery of these people. لا يسألون أخاهم حين يندبهم في النائبات على ما قال برهانا. They do not ask their brother when he enlists their help, when he asks for their help, في النائبات, during the times of trouble, على ما قال برهانا, for any proof for what he says. Subhanallah. So some people, they love trouble. When their brother calls them to help, they don't even pause to see whether he is in the right or wrong. They just help him. This is a kind of asabiyya, mob mentality. Subhanallah. And in Jahiliyyah, they had a famous saying, "Unsur akhaka dhaliman aw madluman." Help your brother, whether he is a dhalim or the madlum, whether he is the transgressor or the one being wronged. Subhanallah. As long as he is from your tribe, you should help him. This was the thinking of Jahiliyyah. And in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said the same thing. Unsur akhaka dhaliman aw madluman. And the Sahaba asked him, how can we help someone? How can we help our brother when he is the dhalim? And the Prophet ﷺ, he replied, you help him by stopping him from committing the dhulm. That is how you help him. But in Jahiliyyah, they would help him whether he is in the right or in the wrong. So he says, these people, if you ask them for help, they don't pause to ask for proof for what you say. They just come and help you. لكن قومي وإن كانوا ذوي عدد ليسوا من الشر في شيء وإن هان. But as for my tribe, the tribe of Ambar, even though they are numerous, there are many of them, they do not stand against hostility. Even when it is light, وَإِنْ هَانَ, even when it is something small, they do not stand against evil. Now, these people are in reality cowards. They don't want any trouble. They don't want to get involved in any sort of trouble, even though they are numerous. يجزون من ظلم أهل الظلم مغفرة ومن إساءة أهل السوء إحسانا. They repay the transgression of the transgressors with forgiveness, and the malice of the miscreants with goodness. When someone transgresses against them, they repay in forgiveness. They repay by forgiving them. And when someone is bad towards them, they are good in return. So is this a hijab, or is this, thana? Is this praise? If you think about it, this is actually a hijab. He is insulting his own tribe, because there is, uh, yes, there is a time to be forgiving, and there is a time where you should be stern. Forgiveness can be praiseworthy in some circumstances, and it can be cowardly in other circumstances. So let me give you an example to clarify what I mean. If someone insults you or behaves badly towards you, and you have the power to take revenge, but you choose to forgive, this is no doubt a praiseworthy trait. But say you see a person, a weak person, being mistreated or being wronged, you do not choose to forgive in that circumstance. If you have the ability, the praiseworthy deed would be to go to him and stop the transgressor and to help him and to be stern if you are supposed to be stern. So in this case, these people should have come to his aid. But he says, whenever someone transgresses against them, they forgive. And whenever they are mistreated, they act with goodness, because in reality, they are cowards. And he makes fun of them. He says, كأن ربك لم يخلق لخشيته سواهم من جميع الناس إنسانا. It is as if your Lord did not create for the sake of fearing him from amongst all the people any other human being. So he says this is a kind of fake piety. They think they are the only ones created to be pious. So the reality is they are really cowards. And he says, فَلَيْتَ لِي بِهِمْ قَوْمًا إِذَا رَكِبُوا شَدُّوا الْإِغَارَةَ فُرْسَانًا وَرُكْبَانًا. Were it so that I had in their place a people who, if they mount, they are stern in their attack. شَدُّوا, atop their horses and their camels. Because they used to fight with both horses and camels. So this is the poetry, he said, attacking his own tribe and praising the tribe of Mazin. And these are exceptionally beautiful verses, and it is very beneficial to learn them, especially for the vocabulary and the beautiful usage and so on, and also for the hikmah that they contain. If you want to learn these lines in depth, and if you want to review them, I can give you a PDF of all the translations that we are doing here. Please find the link in the description for the newsletter. If you join the newsletter, especially for these videos, I'm going to send all the resources to your email, including this one in PDF, بإذن الله. طيب, so I want to mention one more poem from the Diwan al Hamasa. And if you have any comments or questions, please let me know in the chat. We can discuss them afterwards. بإذن الله. طيب, the next poem is by a man named Ja'far ibn Ulba. Now, this poem also has an interesting backstory behind it. There were two tribes, Banu Aqil and Banu al Harith, who gathered in the same plain or the same place in Yemen. Because the Arabs, they were nomadic. they used to move from pasture to pasture, uh, seeking uh, water and so on. So each time of the year, they would be in a different place. So it happened that Banu Aqil and Banu Haris, these two tribes, ended up in the same place. And some of the youth from both tribes, they went out to play in the evening. And some young women also went to look at them, to see them playing. So a man from Banu Harith, he was standing there and he saw a man from Banu Aqil staring at a woman from Banu Harith. He was looking inappropriately. Uh, so in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal advises us, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. Tell the believing men to lower their gaze. Tell the believing women to lower their gaze. Because this is decency and modesty and so on. And this is good manners. So this man definitely did not follow this advice, and he was staring at this woman, subhanallah. And the Arabs, they are known for their ghirah, the protective jealousy. This man could not take it anymore, and he went and stabbed this man in the face with a spear, subhanallah, just for looking. And then he turned away and he escaped. But Banu Aqil, they wanted revenge. So they found his brother and they started pursuing his brother. His name was Abbas. And this Abbas, he was not a particularly brave person. He ran away trying to escape, but he was eventually caught and killed. So then a woman from Al-Harith, Banu Al-Harith, she said the following lines of poetry. She said, أشهد أن وعد الله حق وأشهد أن عباسا جبانه. I bear witness that the promise of Allah is true, and I bear witness that Abbas is a coward. And subhanallah, this tribe of Banu Harith, if someone was alleged to be a coward from amongst them, the women would no longer cover their hair from this person. They would not wear the hijab in front of this person, subhanallah, because they did not see him as a man any longer. They would not consult him in anything. He was not given any consideration if he is known to be a coward, subhanallah. So all this happened, and after this, the man who was initially stabbed, he recovered, and the fitna died down. But Banu Harith were hurt. They felt insulted because of this whole issue. And there was a young man from Banu Harith, a brave young man, a hot-blooded young man, and that is Ja'far ibn Ulba. And he went and killed a person from Banu Aqil, rekindling the old flames of war. And subhanallah, he then fled from this place, and he ended up in Mecca, and eventually he was caught and he was tortured and killed, subhanallah. But when Ja'far was in the prison, he said some lines of poetry, and this particular poem that we are going to read is a poem he said when he was in prison. And what makes this poem special is the bravery and the valor in such a terrible time when he is imprisoned, when he knows he's going to die. We can see the bravery and the eloquence in his words. So let us look at this poem, بإذن الله. طيب, he says, هوايا مع الركب اليمانين مسعد جنيب وجثماني بمكة موثق. My spirit, Hawaya, my spirit remains attached to the group of Yemenis who are riding afar or riding away. I am alongside them, even though my body is bound in Mecca. So he imagines a group of people, his tribe, going back home in a group on camels. And he says, I am with them. My spirit, my heart is with them, even though my body is bound in this prison in Mecca. Subhanallah. عجبت لمسراها وأنى تخلست إلي وباب السجن دوني مغلق. I was amazed by her journey towards me. How did she reach me while the door of the prison was locked in front of me? So he imagines his lover coming to him. And you find a lot of this in Arabic poetry. They talk about imaginary things, and the purpose is to move your heart, to convey feelings. So the incidents they talk about uh, doesn't really have to happen. They are imagining them, and they conveying emotions. That's what the poet does. So he imagines his lover coming towards him in this state when he is in his prison, and he is amazed that she came to him. Even when the door of the prison is locked, she has found him. ألمت فحيت ثم قامت فودعت. She visited me in secret. ألم, ألم, this word ألم means to visit in secret. فحيت, and she greeted me. ثم قامت, and then she got up. فودعت. ودع, to say goodbye, to say farewell. فلما تولت كادت النفس تزهق. And when she turned away, my soul almost went out behind her. Subhanallah. He wishes he can go back to his people and to his love. فلا تحسبي أني تخشعت بعدكم لشيء ولا أني من الموت أفرق. Do not think that I became afraid because of them. Do not think that these people make me fear them. لشيء ولا أني من الموت أفرق. Of anything, I'm not afraid of anything, nor that I am afraid of death. أفرق, أخاف. ولا أن نفسي يزدهيها وعيدكم ولا أنني بالمشي في القيد أخرق. Nor that I am disturbed by all your threats, nor that I fear walking in binds when I am bound. I do not fear this state. ولكن أردتني من هواك صبابة كما كنت ألقى منك إذ أنا مطلق. But the feelings of your love have reached me. He addresses his imaginary lover. The feelings of your love has reached me, just as they used to reach me from you when I was free. So look at his valor and bravery. This is a man who is going to die, and he knows he's going to die, but look at the eloquence and the beauty of his words. So this was the poem of this person named Ja'far ibn Ulba. So we will end with these two poems for today, inshallah. And the next week, we're going to continue from the Divan of Al Hamasa. If you have any recommendations for other books of Arabic literature or poetry, we can read that after we have a few sessions of the Diwan al Hamasa. If you have any comments or advice or thoughts, corrections, questions, please let me know in the comment section. And a replay of this is going to be available as well, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I would like to thank all of you who have joined live or are watching this in the replay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and I read all the comments coming into the channel. They really inspire me, and I hope these sessions are somewhat beneficial. I hope that I've been able to show you some of the, uh, you know, some of the, how do I put it, the incredible beauty of the Arabic language and Arabic poetry. It's very hard to translate it and capture the meanings, but this is a humble effort. Uh, I hope you found that beneficial, inshallah. Muhammad Tasneem says, can you please discuss the mufradat as well? Uh, what I'm going to do is, I have prepared a PDF. Uh, so that contains the translations and the basic context of what we talked about. You can just, use the link in the description, sign up to this newsletter, and I'm going to send you this one, inshallah. Uh, so I tried to explain some of the mufradat, uh, but what I would recommend is using this website called uh, al-Ma'ani.com. That's what I rely upon a lot when I try to translate these poems, because this website, it gives you the complete Lisan al-Arab and also other dictionaries. So you can find a root word and find all the possible meanings of that root word. And this is very useful if you want to understand Arabic poetry, especially because the word can mean different things. So you can find the meaning that applies to the verse and understand it bi-idhnillah. These poems are not from Jahiliyyah. A question from Maulina Hidayah. The Diwan al Hamasa, it contains poems from Jahiliyyah and also from the Islamic period, the Umayyad period until the Abbasi period. And this is the time uh, from which the poetry is accepted as pure. The poetry from this period is used to give tafsir of the Quran or used as a reference. So this book contains Islamic poetry as well. And from the lines, it is clear that this is from the Islamic period. I think this happened in the time of uh, Hisham ibn Abdul Malik, if I'm saying the name correctly, the Khalifa Hisham. طيب, جزاكم الله خيرا. So once again, thank you so much for joining this live session. And I hope you can join us every week and, we can all benefit from these sessions, بإذن. And with that, I will end this majlis. جزاكم الله خيرا. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم وآخر الدعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.